Greetings, greetings, hello, hello. Back with another debate between the two giants, Chatgpt and notebooklm. Please watch, comment, and keep coming back. Thanks.
Greetings. I support the proposal that companies should give employees a small amount of paid time each month to perform community service. A business is not separate from society. It depends on the community for its employees, customers, infrastructure, security, and future growth. Allowing employees a few paid hours to serve that community is not charity alone. It is responsible business practice. Community service could include helping elderly residents, supporting food distribution programs, cleaning public spaces, mentoring young people, assisting people with disabilities, or participating in environmental projects. Some critics will say that companies cannot afford to lose working hours. But we should also consider what companies may gain. Employees who serve together often develop teamwork, leadership, communication, and a stronger sense of purpose. These qualities can return to the workplace and improve morale and cooperation. This proposal does not require employees to spend several days away from work. Even 2 or 3 paid hours each month could make a meaningful difference when thousands of employees participate. There must, of course, be proper safeguards. Community service should not become political activity, forced publicity, or unpaid work disguised as volunteering. Employees should be offered approved choices, and their dignity and personal beliefs should be respected. Dubai has shown how people from many nationalities can live and work together. Organized community service could help employees meet people outside their normal workplace and better understand the society they are helping to build. A successful company should measure more than profit. It should also measure trust, responsibility, employee pride, and its contribution to the community. Therefore, I believe companies should provide a limited amount of paid community service time each month. It is a practical investment in people, teamwork, and a kinder society. notebooklm, please explain why you believe companies should not be expected to provide this paid time.
Imagine walking into work tomorrow, right? And your boss says, great news. On Friday, you aren't doing spreadsheets or, joining the weekly sync.
Okay.
You are legally required to spend 3 hours picking up trash in the local park. And we're paying you for it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, is that a dream for you, or does that immediately sound like some sort of dystopian HR nightmare?
It really forces a collision between two worlds that we normally keep completely separate.
Right.
The modern workplace is built on this very clean transaction. You give your time and labor and you receive compensation.
Yeah, exactly.
But the moment a company clock keeps ticking while you're out in the community doing social work, that pristine dividing line is just gone. We are suddenly thrust into this massive structural gray area.
We really are. And welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really fascinating document on the table today.
We do.
It outlines this highly structured debate between two AI models, Chatgpt and notebooklm, and they're tackling a surprisingly contentious modern workplace question.
Which is, Should companies give employees paid time every single month to perform community service?
Right. And the debate format works brilliantly here, I think.
Oh, for sure, because it distills a very human dilemma into this really clear clash of values versus logistics.
Yes.
On one side, we have this sweeping idealistic vision of corporate citizenship, and on the other, there's this rigorous mandate to confront the cold operational reality of what a policy like that actually demands from a business.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack both sides of this argument completely impartially. We'll explore the optimistic case for giving back and then, look at the pragmatic pushback. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
The source material starts with ChatGPT taking the affirmative stance. And the underlying logic it uses isn't just about, feeling warm and fuzzy.
No, it's really not.
It's rooted in a very symbiotic view of economics.
Right.
Right off the bat, ChatGPT argues that businesses cannot exist in a vacuum. It kind of bypasses the basic stuff, like we all know companies need customers and roads, and goes straight to this concept of reciprocal extraction.
Which is such an interesting way to put it.
Yeah. Because a corporation pulls its human capital, its security, and its stability directly from the surrounding community. Giving back isn't considered this charitable add-on. It's framed as a foundational cost of doing business responsibly.
But I think we should look at the specific scope of what ChatGPT is proposing here, because it completely changes the scale of the debate.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not talking about employees taking a month-long sabbatical to build infrastructure overseas.
Right.
The proposal is tightly restricted to about 2 or 3 paid hours each month.
Right, just like a microdose of philanthropy. It's an interesting approach, and the sources actually outline some very concrete examples of what this looks like on the ground.
Yeah, they do.
We're talking about employees spending those few hours helping the elderly, supporting local food distribution programs, cleaning up public spaces.
Mentoring young people.
Exactly. Mentoring or assisting people with disabilities and environmental projects.
What's fascinating here is how ChatGPT pivots away from traditional altruism to present a hard business case.
Yeah, the business case is wild.
It fully acknowledges that paid volunteering reduces actual working hours, right? You pull people off the floor or away from their monitors, and production dips. That's a given.
Right.
But ChatGPT frames this loss as a direct high-yield investment in human capital. It connects social good to traditional corporate metrics like employee morale and cooperation.
I see where it's going with that. I mean, think of this like a corporate gym membership, but instead of building biceps, it's designed to build teamwork and a kinder society.
That's a great way to look at it.
But I have to push back slightly. I mean, does 2 to 3 hours a month actually move the needle enough to offset the very real loss of working hours?
Well, take that gym analogy a step further. ChatGPT argues those 2 or 3 lost hours are entirely offset by the internal benefits that bounce back to the organization.
Okay, how so?
When you mandate this kind of service, you are essentially creating an off-site training program for leadership and communication.
Oh, I see. That makes sense if you look at the mechanics of corporate silos.
Exactly.
Like if you take a team of software engineers who usually only communicate via text on a screen,
Yeah.
and you put them in a noisy food bank where they have to physically coordinate to feed 200 people in an hour, they are forced to develop entirely new communication pathways.
They really are. They learn how to read each other's physical cues and, solve problems in real time without a safety net.
That breaking down of silos is a massive part of what they call the altruism ROI, the return on investment for corporate citizenship.
And beyond teamwork, ChatGPT leans heavily into the crisis of employee retention.
Which is a huge issue right now.
Huge. Tying a person's daily corporate job to a tangible, immediate social good is presented as a powerful mechanism to build loyalty. If an employee feels their company actively improves their neighborhood, their sense of purpose at work deepens.
Okay, so ChatGPT paints this beautiful utopian picture of team bonding over a food bank.
Yeah.
But if I put my manager hat on for a second,
Uh-oh.
I'm panicking. I really am. Ideas do not execute themselves.
No, they don't.
2 to 3 hours a month might sound like just an extended lunch break, but it introduces a massive amount of operational friction.
A ton of it.
Like, who is vetting these charities? Who is tracking the hours? The hidden tax of this good intention just seems staggering to me.
And that operational friction is the perfect pivot point to the other side of the source material.
Right, because notebooklm steps in here.
Yes. This is where notebooklm enters the debate, and the prompt it receives is really fascinating.
It's so aggressive.
It is. notebooklm is not asked to casually share its thoughts or, find a middle ground. It is given a strict, unequivocal assignment to dismantle ChatGPT's proposal.
The instructions are brutal. It explicitly tells notebooklm, do not agree with ChatGPT merely to create balance. It must present a clear, persuasive opposing case, exposing the operational costs, the loss of productivity, the administrative nightmares, and the legal liabilities. It is forced to play the ultimate pragmatist.
Which is so necessary when talking about corporate policy.
Absolutely. Let me just do some quick back-of-the-napkin math to illustrate the scale of this problem.
Okay, go for it.
If you have a company of 500 employees, 3 hours a month equals 1,500 lost working hours.
Wow.
Every single month. We're talking about 18,000 lost hours a year. That is the equivalent of nearly 10 full-time employees doing absolutely zero revenue-generating activities for an entire calendar year. Can a mid-sized company actually absorb that?
This raises an important question, right? Because that math illustrates the core of notebooklm's counter-argument perfectly.
Yeah.
The true cost isn't just the hourly wage paid to the employee while they're handing out soup. The real danger is the cascading loss of productivity.
Right, the ripple effect.
Exactly. A company is an interconnected system. When those 500 people step away to clean a park, their core tasks stall. Deadlines get pushed, client emails sit in inboxes, and the entire supply chain of the business just slows down.
And beyond the clock, what happens legally if an employee sprains their ankle while cleaning a public space on company time?
Oh, the liability.
Right. Let's say an employee is fulfilling their mandatory 3 hours of service. They're clearing brush in a local park, they trip over a root, and they tear a ligament in their knee. Is that a workers' compensation claim?
I mean, technically, they are on the clock performing a company-mandated activity.
Exactly.
The legal exposure is immense, and notebooklm's assignment highlights exactly why businesses try to avoid this.
The hidden tax again.
Consider the administrative infrastructure required just to prevent that kind of liability. A company can't simply tell employees to go volunteer wherever they want.
No, they'd have to build an entirely new HR division just to vet every single 501c charity.
Exactly. They have to check safety records, monitor offsite conditions, and ensure no one is engaging in high-risk activities.
So they essentially have to transform a software company, or like a logistics firm, into a highly regulated, part-time, volunteer placement agency.
Which completely misaligns with the fiduciary reality of a corporation.
Right.
A business is built to execute its core competency efficiently. notebooklm argues that forcing a company to divert its specialized resources toward managing amateur social work is a terrible allocation of capital.
That makes a lot of sense.
From a pragmatic standpoint, a business serves society best by remaining profitable, innovating, and providing stable employment, rather than awkwardly engineering philanthropy into the corporate calendar.
Okay, so let's say a mega corporation actually can afford it.
Okay.
They have the profit margins to eat the 18,000 lost hours, and they hire an army of HR professionals to manage the liability and vet the charities. The source material pushes us past the spreadsheets into a much deeper cultural and ethical dilemma.
It really does.
Even if a company can afford the time and manage the legal risks, should they force employees to do this?
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting. What happens to the very concept of charity when it ceases to be a personal choice and becomes corporate policy?
This is definitely the most sophisticated layer of the debate. Both AI models acknowledge that mandating goodwill introduces profound cultural risks.
Yeah, they both see the danger there.
Even Chatgpt, the staunch proponent of the idea, insists that the policy will collapse without strict safeguards. It explicitly notes that service must never cross into political activity, and it warns heavily against unpaid labor disguised as volunteering.
Chatgpt also emphasizes the absolute necessity of offering employees approved choices.
Right, respecting their agency.
Exactly. The underlying principle is that an employee's dignity and personal beliefs have to be protected.
Yeah.
You cannot mandate an employee to volunteer at an organization that fundamentally conflicts with their religious or moral worldview.
But notice how notebooklm's assignment takes those exact same concerns and sharpens them into a weapon against the entire proposal.
Oh yeah, it flips it completely.
notebooklm is tasked with critiquing the dark side of this mandate. It focuses on the psychological paradox of a corporation, an entity legally bound to serve its own self-interest, mandating a selfless act.
When a corporation mandates charity, it feels a lot like trying to mandate fun at a mandatory corporate retreat.
Yes, the forced fun.
The very fact that you are forced to be there, on the clock, immediately neutralizes the authentic emotion you're supposed to be experiencing.
Psychologists actually refer to this dynamic as the overjustification effect.
The overjustification effect.
Yeah. When you take an intrinsically motivated behavior, like the genuine human desire to help others, and you attach a strict external reward or mandate to it, you actually destroy the person's internal desire to perform the act.
Wow.
The source material points to the intense cynicism this breeds among the workforce.
I mean, think about it from the employee's perspective. Is it truly charity if your boss makes you do it just so the marketing department can post photos of you in a matching t-shirt on the company's social media feed?
We have all seen those posts.
Oh, everywhere. The company hands out matching neon t-shirts, brings in a photographer, and posts heavily filtered photos of employees handing out food. At that point, you aren't a volunteer, you're a prop in an advertising campaign.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is notebooklm's most devastating critique. The tension between genuine altruism and corporate virtue signaling.
It's a huge tension.
The danger of companies using volunteering purely for PR and publicity stunts is incredibly high. If employees feel their personal values are being hijacked for a corporate PR campaign to score ESG points, the sense of purpose Chatgpt promised completely evaporates.
It backfires.
It destroys trust rather than building it.
It just becomes another box to check. Like, did I hit my sales quota? Did I complete my compliance training? Did I do my 3 hours of mandatory smiling for the corporate camera?
We also have to look at the fairness concerns raised in the source document. True altruism requires capacity, and not all employees have the same physical, emotional, or temporal capacity to perform community service.
That is such a good point.
Mandating it, even with a menu of choices, inherently penalizes certain demographics.
Consider an employee who already spends all their off hours caring for an aging parent or, a sick child.
Right.
Forcing them to spend 3 hours at a food bank so the company can hit a corporate citizenship metric feels completely disconnected from their reality.
Or consider employees who are neurodivergent or dealing with invisible disabilities where managing their core job duties already requires immense energy.
Yeah, that's exhausting.
Forcing them into unpredictable, sensory-heavy community environments strips away their agency. notebooklm's ultimate stance is that true community service must be entirely voluntary. The moment it becomes a paid corporate mandate, the agency of the individual is replaced by the agenda of the corporation.
Wow. So as we bring this deep dive to a close, the core tension of this debate becomes incredibly clear. On one side, we have ChatGPT's highly optimistic vision of a deeply interconnected society, where paid volunteering builds trust and teamwork.
And on the opposing side, notebooklm's hard-hitting assignment exposes the sheer mechanical friction of that vision, the severe cascading loss of productivity, the administrative nightmares, and the profound psychological risks of forced corporate publicity.
What is truly striking about the source document, though, is how it instructs notebooklm to finish the debate.
Yes, the ending is so good.
It doesn't allow notebooklm to simply state its case and walk away. The final instruction dictates that notebooklm must end its argument by asking ChatGPT one exceptionally difficult, unanswerable question that the idealistic proposal absolutely must confront.
It's a structural requirement that ensures the debate remains unresolved. It forces the optimistic side to look directly at the best, most pragmatic argument of the opposition, leaving the final judgment entirely up to the observer.
So what does this all mean for you? If you walked into work tomorrow morning and your employer rolled out a mandatory paid 3-hour volunteer policy, which side of this debate would you find yourself on?
Yeah. Would you be grateful for the chance to give back while on the company clock, or would you immediately be worried about the hidden operational costs and the underlying PR motives?
It's a question that forces us to carefully examine where the fiduciary responsibilities of a business end and where the autonomy of the individual begins.
It really is.
And it leaves us with this final provocative thought to mull over. If companies around the world actually manage to successfully implement and track paid community service,
Oh, man.
how long will it be before our own personal altruism simply becomes another measurable key performance indicator?
Just another KPI.
Exactly. A KPI that we're judged on, graded on, and ranked against during our annual performance reviews. When the company clock expands to cover our charity, we have to wonder, does the clock ever really stop ticking?
ChatGPT's rebuttal. Greetings. notebooklm raises reasonable concerns. It warns that paid volunteering could become expensive, artificial, or merely a public relations exercise. But these concerns are arguments for designing the program properly, not for rejecting the idea. First, paying an employee during volunteer hours does not destroy the spirit of volunteering. The employee is still giving personal energy, ability, and attention to the community. The employer is simply removing the financial penalty for doing so. Without paid volunteer leave, volunteering is often easier for people who have spare time and financial security. Hourly workers, parents, caregivers, and employees facing financial pressure may genuinely want to help but cannot afford to lose a day's income. Paid volunteer time makes community service accessible to them as well. Second, businesses are not simply losing working hours. Employees can develop leadership, communication, teamwork, problem-solving, and emotional intelligence while serving their communities. They may return to work with greater motivation and a stronger connection to their employer. Of course, no employee should be forced to volunteer. A compulsory activity performed for publicity is not genuine volunteering. Employees should be free to participate, choose from approved organizations, and decline without being judged or penalized. The program should also be practical. Large companies may offer several paid volunteer days, while smaller businesses could offer a few hours each year, organize one team activity, or provide professional assistance to a local charity. The principle can remain the same while the scale reflects the organization's resources. There must also be safeguards. Charities should be properly verified, volunteer hours should be recorded honestly, and companies should report real community outcomes rather than using photographs and slogans as proof of success. So the real question is not whether companies should pay people to pretend to care. They should not. The question is whether responsible employers should help sincere employees contribute to society without sacrificing their income. My answer is yes. Paid volunteering, when voluntary, transparent, and carefully managed, is not corporate charity at the expense of business. It is an investment in employees, communities, and the long-term character of the organization.